Prime Minister says the Conservative Party does not have an Islamophobia problem. And Lee Anderson's comments were wrong and unacceptable.
Rishi Sunak has been speaking to BBC Radio York ahead of chairing his cabinet meeting in Yorkshire later on this morning. Let's just hear what he just told presenter Gregory Spanswick. Georgie, not Gregory, sorry.
Georgie Spanswick, yeah, speaking to the Prime Minister about those comments by Lee Anderson. We're joined now by the Transport Secretary, Mark Harper. Mark Harper, thank you very much indeed for joining us. I'm not sure he's taken the heat.
Good morning.
He's not really taken the heat out of this, has he? Well, what's going to happen with Lee Anderson? Can he be invited back into the party if he apologises?
Well, look, what Lee Anderson said, as the Prime Minister in that clip said, it was quite wrong. It was words that aren't true about Sadiq Khan. Sadiq Khan's got a terrible record in London. I criticise him, I've been on your programme, I think, for what he does on transport, rolling out ULEZ, punishing poorer motorists. That's what we should be attacking him for. So what Lee said was wrong.
Was it Islamophobic?
Result, he was given the opportunity to retract.
I think most people agree that it was factually wrong, but was it Islamophobic? Straight answer, yes or no?
Well, no, he was given the opportunity to retract and apologise.
I'm giving you an opportunity to answer a straight question. Would you just answer the question?
Well, let me...
No, I won't let you go off the point. I will hold you to the question. Was what he said Islamophobic,
Richard,
yes or no?
Richard, can I answer the question that I've already been asked? You won't even let me answer the first question.
OK, let's wait for the answer.
Let's see if we get one.
Go on.
So, what he said was wrong. He shouldn't have said it. That's why firm action was taken. That's why the whip was taken away, as the Prime Minister said. I'm not going to get into textual analysis of what he said. It was wrong. That's a very strong word in my book. It was wrong. He shouldn't have said it. Firm action was taken. And you know, I'm going to leave it there.
So why won't you get into an analysis?
You can ask me lots of questions about it, and I'm very clear about it.
Why won't you get into a straightforward analysis of a really, really, really simple question? Was what he said Islamophobic or not? That's not complicated.
Well, look, what he said was wrong. It wasn't correct about the Mayor of London.
Was it Islamophobic?
And that's why he's had the whip taken away.
Was it Islamophobic? Well, it's a really simple question.
It's not a very simple question, actually, Richard. I've been very clear. What Lee Anderson said was wrong. He shouldn't have said it. And when he was given the opportunity to retract and to apologise for what he said, he should have done that. I agree with the Prime Minister. It matters what people say, and he shouldn't have said it. And because he wouldn't apologise or retract those comments, he had the whip taken away. And what he said was wrong.
Well, then here's a complicated...
And it wasn't true what he said about the Mayor of London.
Well, then here's a complicated question. Was it Islamophobic?
No, I've just told you. What he said was wrong. That's what I've given you as my answer, and that's what I'm going to stick to. And you can ask me as many times as you like, but that is my answer. OK, and I won't ask you again, but if that's an answer, my name isn't Richard Madeley.
Mark Harper, can I ask you...
Well, it's my answer, Richard. Look, you get to answer the questions, Richard, and I get to answer them in the way I want to answer them.
OK.
And I'm happy to let your viewers judge my answers.
Can I ask then why the whip was withdrawn from him? Because what you've said is that the thing he did that led to the withdrawal of the whip was that he said something that was wrong, he said something that wasn't true, and he wouldn't retract it, or indeed apologise. But plenty of politicians say things which are wrong and not true and won't retract them, but they don't have the whip suspended. So why was he suspended from the Tory party?
Well, as the Prime Minister said, look, there are lots of tensions running at the moment on these particular issues. You know, we saw last week, you may have covered it on your programme, scenes in Parliament where the procedures of our Parliament were changed by the Speaker, who I think has apologised and has regrets what happened, because of threats being made to members of Parliament. Now, I think that is quite wrong. To change how we operate in Parliament because of those threats. So there are lots of tensions running at the moment, and in situations like that, I think members of Parliament have a duty to be careful about what they say and not to inflame those tensions. And in such a context, I think what Lee said was wrong. That's why, and he was asked to retract those comments and to apologise for them, and he didn't do that. And that's why the whip was suspended.
So
I think that's very clear,
okay.
Firm, decisive action by the Prime Minister and the Chief Whip, and I support what took place.
So you believe that what Lee Anderson said was inflammatory and could inflame perhaps negative feeling about Muslim communities. That's the reason that you withdrew the whip from him. Because many people would think that is pretty much a definition of Islamophobia.
Well, no, that isn't what I said. What I said is, in the context at the moment, we all have a duty to be careful about the language we use because of the context at the moment, with feelings running high about some very important international issues. And as I said, what he said was wrong. He didn't retract or apologise those comments, and that's why the whip was taken away, and I support that firm, decisive action by the Prime Minister and the Chief Whip.
If he has second thoughts, and he does apologise, and he does retract what he said, would he get the whip back?
Well, look, I was a former Chief Whip, as you know, Richard, and I'm not going to start telling my successor how to do his job. I would have found that very irritating when I was Chief Whip. But look, a good start would be to do what he was asked to do in the first place, which is to retract those comments and to apologise, and I hope Lee reflects on the controversy that's been caused and does so. What happens after that is not a matter for me, it's a matter for the Chief Whip.
And what do you make of the support that Mr Anderson appears to be garnering, particularly in the Red Wall constituencies, from would-be Conservative voters who are contacting their MPs in large numbers to say that they think what he said was right?
Well, look, I haven't seen those particular comments. Look, if those people are writing to say that they're concerned about what they saw on the streets last week and the fact that procedures in Parliament were changed as a result of concerns about threats to members of Parliament, those are perfectly legitimate things to be worried about, and there are many people in the country that are worried about those. That's why we have robust policing to deal with concerns about demonstrations, and we should not change our procedures in Parliament. If that's what people are concerned about, that's a perfectly reasonable thing to be concerned about. But what I said, what Lee said was wrong and not correct. He refused to apologise, and that's why the whip was taken away.
This, again, has all distracted attention from your core message. There's a reason why you're out in a high-vis jacket at a transport hub this morning. What's happened to discipline within your party, where we're hurtling towards a general election and you just can't get your key announcements across without something totally distracting the viewers?
Well, look, I'm not going to pretend that's not annoying, because you're quite right. The reason why I'm here wearing my high-vis jacket is because I'm announcing the detailed allocations of the £4.7 billion of the local transport fund that are going to go to local councils, the smaller cities, towns and rural areas across the north and the Midlands. Money that will actually, for those of your viewers in those areas, will make a real difference to their lives every day, because local councils will now have the money to invest in local transport projects that will be of benefit to people as they go about their daily lives. So yes, I would much rather be talking about those sorts of announcements and the money we've got available now. We cancelled the second phase of HS2. We're reinvesting every penny in transport across the parts of the country where HS2 investments were going to take place. So the bulk of those savings are in the North and the Midlands. That's why the announcement today is covering the North and the Midlands, and it's particularly outside the big cities, because those big city areas, mayors like Andy Street and Ben Houchen, we announced an uplift in their budgets last autumn. This is the equivalent uplift in budgets for the towns and smaller cities and rural areas across the rest of the North and the Midlands. And that's what I'm out talking about today, and we'll be doing visits later today. OK, well, we gave you the space to put that message across. Thank you very much indeed for your time this morning.
Thank you very much. And we wait to hear what more Mr Sunak says about the Islamophobic row.